Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 545 of the DrunkNerds Podcast. As always, I'm Tyler. And join me, we have the man, the wrong way, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
I'll tell you what, dude. Other than being kind of sick right at this moment, and I'm doing okay. I'm not like, you know, tired or anything of that sort and stuff. I'm just feeling fine
You
currently.
look fine, Gables. You look good.
Yeah. But other than that though, I've just been playing a little bit of games here and there, mostly trying to get some work stuff like done and situated and stuff since I'm pretty much going to be doing a lot of stuff on my own for the next week. So I'm getting prepped for that type of stuff. But at the same time, I did play some Resident Evil 4 remake. Didn't play a hell of a lot. I did start the game. I did finish some bits of it and stuff, so I'm happy about that. But other than that, though, I'm pretty much doing good. How about yourself, Tyler?
That was a little harder than normal. Better now, Gables. Better now. Um, just clanging and banging as always. It's been just watched the Caitlin fucking Clark do it again for the Iowa women in basketball, going to the championship game, baby. First time I've ever seen the Iowa team play for an actual like national championship, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I am a nervous wreck. Gables saw me the last like 5 minutes of the game. I was not doing great, um, but we won it. It's great. Well, they won it, so that's awesome. But yeah, I'm doing all right. It's been a pretty nice little week. The weather was like 75 today, which is always great. It
Wow.
went from like
Okay.
75 and sunny to like hail and the roads are flooded, back to 75 and sunny in like 20 minutes, and then
Ooh.
tornadoes and shit. But other than
Ooh.
that, it's been good. Uh, but yeah, I'm just as always, Gables just clanging and banging. I'm gonna take a sip of this beer. I'm drinking a Gables again. I've got a few left.
Yeah.
Mm, tastes good. Tastes good. It's hitting really good right now. Celebratory beer. It's a Friday night. We're recording on a Friday. Typically we record
Yeah.
Saturday nights if you're a first time or listener or first, whatever you've been here since the beginning. Typically we do this on Saturday nights, but Gables was nice enough to change the schedule around. I got birthday dinner tomorrow. It's a busy weekend, Gables. You got a very busy weekend. You got the podcast tonight.
Yeah, it
We
is.
got WrestleMania on Saturday, WrestleMania on Sunday. Um, I got
Okay.
a dinner Saturday. I got a dinner Sunday. A lot of shit going on, Gables.
Nice.
Popular guy this weekend. But no, other than that, doing pretty good. It's been a nice little week. We're getting a nice time of the year. Uh, Same with you, playing Resident Evil 4. I'm pretty far into it. We'll talk about that later though. Um, but Gables, but actually, before we get into it, if you guys are liking this, just please go look in the show description down below. See the links to our YouTube, App Podcast, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter, all those fun things. Please like, follow, subscribe, all those places, shares, 5-star reviews, comments. Tell us what you guys think of the show. It'd be nice. We're sensitive souls. Um, tell us what you think though. We really appreciate it. But also, most importantly, share it with your friends. Leave those nice reviews. More people do stuff like that, the more it helps us out. More people can see us. And like I said, we would really appreciate it if you did that for us. But Gables, to the
Yeah.
moment of silence for the death
Okay.
of E3. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you for that, Gables. I didn't know if I wanted to be a sarcastic asshole about it or not, but sorry for once. Let's not do it. Gables E3 is dead again. Um,
Yep.
yeah,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, it just will not die. It just won't die. Uh, so I guess so. GDC Game Developer Conference was in San Francisco last week, and a big thing going on there. A lot of developers usually like more like learning. It's like that's kind of like where like the original like when we learned about Breath of the Wild development cycle of that where we
Mhm.
found out like they built like the original Zelda. Like they made an 8-bit version of Breath of the Wild, and that's how they messed with the chemistry system. Like that's where a lot of that stuff came from, and people can go and like journalists, people can go and like play a lot of like typically a lot of smaller games there, like maybe some like some bigger game like Liza P it was there and stuff like that, but simply like learn more about like how the how the hot dog is made and stuff. But there's a lot of discussion there. This is the end of March. This is going on, and people were like talking about E3 plans, and everybody, a lot of the people either like higher ups or people, like just you know spokes in a wheel people. We're all talking about like what the plans. We're asking each other what's the plan for E3, and they're like, well, we don't know what's going on. Which the event's 2 months away. You'd think you'd have things are
Yeah.
concrete plan. You hear about all the time like like IGN and stuff like talks about like they start having meetings for E3 in like November December. Uh,
Yes, they
like
do.
because they gotta like figure out who's going, making a booth, all that like planning hotels, stuff like that. And like I mean, you gotta imagine for developers and publishers, it starts even earlier than that. Like you hear about sometimes actually with companies like they've already planned multiple E3s out because they gotta like put together those gameplay demos or those the trailers stuff like that. And some of those could take up a year plus to make. Um, in fact, they were 2 months away and people don't even know if they're going or if it's even happening. So then over the weekend, there started being
Yep.
some rumors going on about it being canceled. And then Monday, VGC dropped some breaking news that Ubisoft had dropped out, and they were like the one big developer that was like, yeah, we'll be there. Publisher, not developer, was going to be there. Like we heard, it's like no one else had confirmed it, but there was like it looked like Sega, Tencent, Embracer Group, um, Konami was going to be there, but no like confirmations outside of Ubisoft. Um, and then IGN broke on Tuesday that Sega and Tencent had, even though they weren't officially announced, but they did confirm that they had backed out or they weren't going to be at E3. Um, Devolver Digital that does like they always have like fantastic press conferences, like the digital events that they do. They're
Yeah.
always hilarious and they show off some pretty good games. They always have like a E3, like their E3 thing is in the parking lot of the E3 LA Convention Center, and
Yeah.
they announced that they would not be in the parking lot that year, but they did say that they would be with Summer Game Fest, and then Ubisoft announced on I believe Wednesday or Thursday night that they would be with Summer Game Fest. So two people that were
Jeez.
initially part of E3 were switching to Summer Game Fest. Um, and then there were some rumors that they was going to be flat out canceled. And then Thursday afternoon, I believe it was, yeah, Thursday afternoon, they officially announced that IGN actually scooped it and announced Rebecca Valentine there. She's also the one that initially reported that the big three, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, would not be
Hmm.
at the press conference, and eventually we did find out that was actually in fact the case. Um, she announced that that E3 was officially canceled, and then about an hour later, Repop ESA announced that yes, in fact, it is canceled. Some of the stuff going on though is ESA talked about how like these things weren't going to line up with people weren't going to have stuff ready, which I believe to a certain extent. Some of those people like maybe weren't going to be there because they didn't have things ready. That is fair. Um, and we've seen during the COVID, a lot of these big companies have like slashed their budgets for events because there was no events going on, and
True.
like I think Activision at one point laid off the entire like esport team and their event teams, all that in 2020. Um, or like maybe they didn't lay a bunch of people off, but they like reorganized the people to different areas, or they just completely slashed the budgets. Like we see PlayStation doesn't even they stopped going to E3. They didn't go in 2019 before COVID. Now they just do their own thing, and we've seen that kind of go more and more the case. Um, but So that was part of what ESA said. But what it sounds like really what it is was that Repop was putting the event together, which they've been trying to get the ESA to let them do it for years now. But ESA is like, this is our big money maker. We want to make as much money as possible with spending as little money as possible. Um, so they finally, but after multiple years of this, they finally let Repop do it, but they didn't give a very long leash to do it. They like no, not very long timeline rather to do it. They had less than a
Right.
year
Right.
to
Timeline.
basically figure out what is E3 now, because the old E3 just wasn't working anymore. I mean, we still loved it but we just love
Hmm.
the game announcements, the press conferences. But for the developers, they weren't really loving it because they weren't really getting anything out of it. They were like ESA was charging some of the costs out there was like they're charging hundreds of dollars per square foot at the
Jeez.
convention center. Plus, I think it was like they would charge it was like $40,000 or $50,000 to build a booth there on top of that, and then they would charge you for like internet and all that and you got to charge per kiosk setup, stuff like that. Then you also got to, if you're the company, you also got to pay to fly your people out there. Then you got to like pay to like have your team build these demos or build these trailers or whatever. Take time out of development to do all this. So and like we talk about like PlayStation, big reason they've dropped out was they were spending $10+ million every year to put on the press conference, to then also have a booth. And that's why you've seen like Xbox and Bethesda and EA all do like it was cheaper for them to rent out their own convention center or like a conference room
Mm-hmm.
at a hotel, and then be inside E3 and just like we'll just be across the street or down the street. So anyways, sound like Repop, everything was going on. Jeff Grubb and a bunch of other people, VGC and stuff like that, all reported that Repop actually did exactly what all the developers wanted, the publishers wanted. Made it was way more affordable. I guess the prices were like a tenth of a percent of what they would charge in years past, so it was way more affordable to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with and they were making it more friendly for what they wanted. Getting more eyeballs on things and just making the floor space work better. Because Repop puts together the PAXs and stuff like that. Like that's their thing. Like they're the best in the business at this.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it just was not coming together. And like I said, these studios, these publishers, these developers, like they have their stuff planned out months in advance, or they want to be. And it's like, hey, we're 2 months out, and you're not ready. And they were like, there's a lot of radio silence on their end, so that's why you saw like Ubisoft drop out, and like they're doing their own event in LA still, because they were ready to do one with E3, but because all the issues going on with them not being ready, they said, we'll back out. We're just gonna do our own thing, and then now they're working with Summer Game Fest. So that's kind of what led to the cancellation of 2023 was Repop. They finally ESA finally gave them Repop, but unfortunately they gave in too late and didn't give them enough time to do the thing that they wanted. And I don't know, Gables, like kind of how are you feeling about E3 being canceled, and do you think we'll see it again?
Honestly, with enough time and effort and stuff, I could see E3 coming back again in a different form, kind of like a similar to how Summer Games Fest is. In that regards, I am still sad that it's canceled for this year, but at the same point, cost cutting, this and that, plus all this other conveniences that are up and afloat and stuff, it makes sense why many publishers and developers want to go a different route, like a digital route, and have their own thing presented at a way they want to present. Because what's better to have it's better to have like your own set day or your own set time period, like, or yeah, throughout the month of June, maybe in some portions July, give or take but what better way to present your game and like your future, quintessentially what you're going to be releasing in the next 6 months to a year plus, than just having your own individual thing, besides going to a catalog of an entire week clustered with all these different types of announcements and stuff like that. I mean, you and I have done E3 coverage stuff for the podcast stuff
A
now for
decade
like the past
since
like
2013.
a
Yeah,
decade and stuff, since 2013, and that crazy ass thing with the whole
that was the
PS4
Xbox One.
launch
Yeah,
reveal, the whole
yeah.
Xbox One like debacle and all
Sports,
the
sports,
other
sports,
stuff, all
cable,
the way
cable,
up
cable,
until
Connect.
yep, yep. So we started covering that, and then like the last thing that we covered for like E3 in its physical form before the whole
Yeah.
pandemic stuff happened was
Yeah.
2019, and we were disappointed.
Well, 2021 was a really
We
bad
were
one.
definitely, yeah. 2021 was a really bad one and
2019 was
stuff,
not
but
great. 2019 had its moments, but yeah, it was,
yeah.
it was not the best.
The most memorable one I can think of is Keanu Reeves saying, "Oh no, you're
Yeah, like
breathtaking."
Keanu Reeves
Just
was the highlight of
that.
that E3.
Yeah, but what was the writing on the wall is like E3 in its current iteration was not working like it was in years past. Regardless of like cost, regardless of like what companies wanted to try to present their products and stuff. I mean, it was definitely time for a change, but unfortunately, it's not going to be something that we're going to be seeing this year. However, because we have an alternative that is Summer's Games Fest with how Jeff Keighley wants to go and present this stuff. I mean, granted, we are still going to have our slew of game announcements going on through the
Yeah,
summer months. It's just not going to be in that week thing that we were expecting years past, and we're kind of spoiled with since like the mid
Yeah, I think
90s,
this was like
quintessentially.
27 years. Minus 2
Yeah,
because 2020 and 2022 we didn't have one. So,
quintessentially. I mean, I can think of days where I did not see E3 press conferences up until like around the early
yeah.
2000s, at least. I mean, I'd read mentions of them, and even like Space World and the Nintendo
Yeah.
would hold or something like that back around 20 years ago, like through gaming magazines back then, and then going online on different forums and seeing how this goes through and was announced, or even like towards the mid 2000s when like the Wii was announced at like a developers conference and everything else. But yeah, the whole thing about E3 in and of itself, it was a giant spectacle. There were a lot of fantastic moments that happened throughout these events. But as the rise of digital and the rise of convenience stuff has been made readily apparent, is this past iteration and stuff is just not evolved enough to go and sustain what the needs are for the current generation of
Yeah.
gaming.
Um yeah, it's one of those weird things cuz like I think for us like if we kept having E3 as is, I've talked about over and over again. Like E3 is the name, but if I can just have that type of thing, just like 4 or 5 days of just craziness in games, like we've always had, that's all I
Yeah.
want. Like I don't need whether it's Summer Game Fest, E3, or somebody else comes in and takes over. Um, that's all I want. Because I love it. It is legitimately one of my favorite times of the year. Um, like it's
Hmm.
like there's Extra Life, and then there's E3 are probably like my 1 and 1/8 favorite times of the year for video games. Um, and like I always look forward to that. Like I always would take like the days off of work so I can watch them all. It's just fun being in the moment, going online and it's even like friends that are like they play games but they don't really pay attention. They don't really know when they're happening. It's like even they're talking about
Hmm.
all the shit's going on. Like, um, I love it, and it's just like everybody losing their mind, getting to see the live reactions. Like yeah, we could like you know Nintendo Directs these events will still happen. We're still getting an Xbox showcase. We're still getting a Ubisoft showcase.
Yep.
Like we're still gonna like Summer Game Fest is gonna have their opening night live opening. I can't remember what it's called. Um, still gonna have their event the third on the June 8th, I believe, the Thursday before E3 was supposed to be. Um,
Yep.
like we're still gonna have all that, but it's just it's not gonna be the same. Like we saw like 2020 where like people were like trying to take over. We talked about a million times where like there was just like because we knew E3 like there was that name mattered because like we knew like maybe yeah there was disappointing press conferences here and there, but like we knew big shit could happen at these things. Um, it's like in a wrestling terms, it's like WrestleMania. Like we expect big things at WrestleMania, and then there's 12 pay per views
Absolutely.
a year, or there's 12 big events a year from WWE, but we knew there was like 3 or 4 shows a year where big things would happen, and E3 is kind of
Yes.
that. Like there's like 3 or 4 big events, big press conferences that we know big shit could happen. Um, and obviously, like Nintendo Direct kind of broke off from that and changed it up a little bit, but like I don't know, like I think part of it too is gonna suck is like initially for a long time, I was like, we don't need the big live audience stuff. We can just do the direct thing. I pushed that for years, and then COVID happened, and then everybody finally went and did that. Like we saw state of plays before that, but but they were still doing like press conferences like for E3, but they were doing
Yes.
state of plays throughout the year. Um, and then it's like, man, I kind of miss like I love those moments of like the audience losing their fucking mind when like big
Yep.
enough like God of War 2018 being revealed for the first time. Um, the Year of Dreams from PlayStation where they announced Shenmue 3, Last Guardian comes back, and Final Fantasy 7 remake back to back to back. I think that was 2015.
Yep.
Whenever I'm having a down day and like just kind of like depression kicking in, I always pull up the game trailers with Michael Huber. I think Brad was there, the Easy Allies guys now, but back then they're game trailers, and they did the live reaction to that, and them just losing their fucking mind to the point where Huber starts crying just from the Shenmue 3 music hitting. That's one of my
Uh,
like all time favorite like videos like ever. I always just cheers me up. Um, but yeah, like there's just something to like I know those live reactions, but like there's just something to like seeing the audience, like hearing the roars. Like yeah, like the you're breathtaking with Keanu Reeves. That doesn't
uh,
happen. in a in a pre-made, edited, canned video. Um, there's been some cool ones in there too. Like there's like the Nintendo where they did the Adult Swim stuff, Robot Chicken,
Yes.
or like Reggie versus Iwata and Smash Brothers type of stuff. Like there's definitely been fun stuff, but like even like the Nintendo World
Or the
Championships they did like back in like the Wii U
yes.
era. Like um, yeah, I don't know. There's some there E3.
Of course.
I don't know. E3 has always been awesome. It's a bummer. It really is. Like I was
Yeah.
legitimately sad about it. But yeah, like you said, like these companies spending eight figures to do these events, and it's like, yeah, we could just probably for the fraction of the cost, just like we can have a couple screens shots up. We don't even have to like Xbox kind of goes next level with it, where they actually have like a stage, like a small stage set up, and like they talk, they have people talking, but it's like look at the Nintendo Direct and State of Play is like it's just a voiceover going from one slide to the next, one commercial to the next. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I I wouldn't be shocked if it comes back. Um, but I think they're in a weird place where even if like they have like like solid events, the name E3 is so big. I don't know. Like they're almost like in that place where like they're too big to go small. At that point where like I don't know if they could come back and just be like a GDC or a PAX East or like even like a Gamescom. Um,
Hmm.
and like
That's potentially
yeah,
interesting.
like Gamescom and like Tokyo was it Tokyo Game Show? Like they're
Yeah.
pretty big in their own way, but I mean they're not like I don't E3. I think is obviously the big one, and I don't know if they can like go those steps down. Um, and some people I heard were saying like maybe they just turn into a PAX, which I don't like. Who's like you're not gonna get the big developers to go the E3 for that for like PAX. You might have a couple kiosks, you might have a couple things, but like um, I don't know, like you're not gonna get like all the people like content creators aren't gonna fly out. Um, you know, IGN, GameSpots, VGCs, like people from all over the world are not gonna fly out to just go to an E3 that's basically a PAX. Um,
No.
and like that's another thing that sucks is like the economical impact of this, where like there are thousands of people that like rely on E3 because like not only like the hotels, like the economy around E3, but also people that build the stages, that work in the booths. Um, like that is like big paydays for them that they're losing. Um, and then like you have like the content creators. Like even if you're not like IGN's GameSpots, even if you don't care about them, like you're like your favorite YouTuber, your favorite Twitch streamer, like that's like big money for them. That's that's big coverage for them because that's a lot of Joe Schmoes that just like we're talking about like our casual gamers that like we talk about like oh my god you heard about this that don't even pay attention to gaming news but they know about what's going on at E3 like they go to them like that's how they find these people and that's a lot of coverage for them. That's how they gain fans. That's how they gain a lot of money is like people clicking on their getting views or clicking on their articles or subscribing to them, whatever, or becoming permanent fans after that. Like that's how I found some of the podcasts and content creators I enjoy now is because of E3. Pretty much all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So like that sucks for them too. That's like that hurts them as well financially, and it's no good for anybody. Um, and it's just crazy that like ESA has had this golden goose um, for years, and they like everybody like there's people talking about in like the mid 2000s about this thing needs a change, and I mean it's been
Yep.
15 years, and that was before like that was like the early days of like internet. Like that was when we could first finally start watching these events, but not live, but like later on. Um,
Yes.
like I remember like you were mentioning like I remember like being able to watch some of those early like the PS3 launch, the PS3 year,
Oh. Oh
or
yeah.
like even like that. Remember there was that really weird. I think it was the year after the Wii launch. I think that was E3 2006. Nintendo did their Nintendo event E3 event, and the first like
Yep.
45 minutes of it was sales graphs just talking about how great the Wii was
Yep.
selling. It's like wow, you guys like they didn't like I think they announced two games and the rest was just them talking about um how well the thing
Yes.
is selling. It's like wow, it's like they just running they're just
Yeah, I remember that too. That was such a disappointment during that year.
yeah, it was and I mean that was the early days too of like because this event was made to like hype like Targets and Toys R Us and Best Buys up to buy their games to sell at the store. Like that was what these events were, and obviously it turned into what it turned into. Um, but it's just funny the internet era, and I remember like what really blew it up was like Xbox was so fucking big that they were like on Spike TV back in the day. And then the very
Yep.
first one, I think it was 2009 or 2010, the first fucking live E3 they can ever watch, event you can ever watch on TV was the Connect year with Skittles.
Oh.
Skittles. It's like, man, one of the worst ones ever. We gotta go. Gables, we gotta do the rewatch of the E3 events. We did a few of those last year. We need to do those again. And I think
Oh.
that's
You
up on the
know,
list.
I mean, yeah, I'm up for another like rewatching things of like old E3 press conferences and stuff like that because a lot of them are really fucking
Yeah,
hilarious. I mean, we did the one year and stuff like that with Ubisoft and stuff with Mr.
this
Caffeine
caffeine. Yeah,
already.
we did a couple Nintendo
Yeah.
ones. Yeah, like I mean, I
Oh,
can't. That's high on my list. I want to go back and watch some of those. Like I almost want to. I
I'll tell
want to
you.
watch some of those bad ones before the good ones. Like we need to go back and watch those 2000s ones before we go back and watch any of the more recent ones.
I'll tell you what, man. The first time I ever watched an E3 press conference, though, it was through a now defunct channel, G4, and it was through like their coverage upon freaking the Sony PlayStation, then like the potential like revealing of the PlayStation 3 for
Oh
the
my
first
god,
time.
yeah.
And that's where all these old freaking internet memes came from this
With the
press
crab.
conference, because you had the freaking giant enemy crab and stuff. It's so funny. You have a hyper realistic sort of like this hyper realistic thing, and all of a sudden, yeah, here's this giant
Yeah,
enemy crab, and also the whole
Racer, and
Ridge
then
Racer on PSP.
599.99, and just the silence of the crowd. Uh, God, man, what a time. Like I
What's
forgot about that.
hilarious, what's hilarious, like Tyler, at that point, the reason why they did that in that way and stuff, it kind of came to like harken to the callback of that one year in E3, I think back around '95 when like the whole Sega Saturn was launched
Yeah.
and stuff like that. The same day it was announced, PlayStation had
Yep.
their own press
That was
conference,
awesome.
right? And they basically just undercut the Sega Saturn by saying, "Oh, yep, 199,
Yeah, I
99,
remember that they
or
did
something
this
like
whole
that."
Sega Saturn did the whole thing, shit the bed on it, and they had a whole PlayStation had a whole event planned out, like they're a whole like thing ready to go, and literally, guy walked up there, all he said, pulled out a piece of paper, 199.99, walked up the stage, event was over, and they won it right there, like, and we saw
Yeah,
that again, a decade later, or no, 2 decades later,
on,
with the
only
PS4.
for the
Yeah,
opposite
for
reaction.
PS4. Well, yeah, a decade later for the opposite. And then a decade after that with the PS4, where they just and then how do you trade games with the PlayStation? It's just Shuei Yoshida handing I think David Lang his copy of the game. Like yeah, like I remember crying when they re-announced like Last Guardian coming back. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just what a bummer, Gables. Yeah, it's like I used totally like flashback to like the mid 2000s, early 2000s, even before like the 360. Like I remember, you know,
Oh
GameCube
shit,
days, like
yeah,
watching
I do remember that.
G4, like all
Game
yeah,
Trailers
Game Show, just
TV.
watching those all fucking day. And it was during the summer,
Yep.
wasn't in school, and that's all I would just watch those all day, and they just do them on repeat over and I just kept watching them. It's just like
Oh my
Adam
god, dude.
Sessler interviewing
Yeah, the
people
time
and Morgan Webb out there, and I was like, oh
exactly.
my god. So I remember just as a kid talking to Justin, my best friend, about like, dude, I just can't wait. I hope we get to go to E3 one day, and not gonna happen, most likely.
Mm,
And even if we did, like, I don't know if like, I don't think this is E3 we want to go to. So I don't know, Gables. Big bummer there. I hope
yeah.
hopefully Summer Game Fest can fill its place. But like I said, if someone could just wrangle all these fuckers up and it's like, hey, we can do it here and plan it out. But I mean, we still got Ubisoft, we still got Xbox, so we still got the Summer Game Fest opening night live. Still got some stuff there. And then who knows? Maybe see how like Sega, Tencent, Embracer, um, and Konami was supposed to be there too. So who knows? Maybe we'll see. I wonder if Konami and Keeley got beef. I wonder if they squashed the beef because I mean, if God damn it, if Gables, if we don't get Metal Gear Solid remake because E3 died, I'm gonna be so fucking mad. Just
No, you know what's going to happen if that company Konami and Jeff Keighley still have beef from way back with the Kojima and stuff. They're going to do it like maybe like right before the Summer Games Fest begin, or like
I
right
don't even care.
after, or like wait till the
That's
end of
fine.
the.
Just do it. I mean, I guess they did their own Silent Hill event last year, so let's just fucking do it. I mean,
Well,
Konami was supposed to
yeah,
do an event at E3 2020, and then E3 got
yep,
canceled, and then they were going to do an event at 2021, and they announced it and everything, and then they at the last minute canceled it, and then they were going to do an event this year, and then E3 got canceled. So, that fucking like they had a press conference ready to go 4 years ago, and
yep.
here we are still waiting. Obviously, Silent Hill was a big part of that, but hopefully, hopefully we get there soon. Gables, let's move on to some good news here. Let's move on to some good news. Let's talk about that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gameplay, Gables.
Oh yes.
I did live reacts to it the other day. If you want more of it, like me, like watching it for the first time, check it out on our YouTube channel. Look in the link down below. But Gables, I want to hear your thoughts about the Tears of the Kingdom gameplay.
This feels like almost an entirely different game than what Breath of the Wild is. Just from watching the 10 minutes of gameplay that Ayanuma demonstrated, it communicated a couple different things. One, your environment in terms of like moving around, also in terms of movement, is drastically changed from the original game, as it's like you're going to be focusing more upon how to get to point A to point B kind of easier in regards to what is limited, what is like say perceived like from your creative mind quintessentially. And what I'm referring to is like you have the ability to rewind time in order to like rewind movement of certain objects to get up, like down, like on the ground or something like that, all the way up to like some of those Sky Island stuff they got going on. You get all this like freaking this ascend thing where you can just go and just transverse upwards, like in the roofs of things, or if there's caves, you can get yourself going up. Or one of my favorite things from this whole thing was in regards to the whole fusion between like different weapons and stuff. The example shown was with a tree branch and a rock to make it more durable and kind of look it so crazy. But you know what? You leave it to Nintendo. You also leave it to not just Nintendo in general, but Ayanuma in general to come up with like such a simple concept or take an idea that's been around for a while now and then craft it in your own style to where it like perceived as entirely different than what it was. So for this case and scenario, I think the I think like the weapon fusion type of stuff is great. I feel that the subsequential like building materials to create your own crafts or your own like you're saying like your own boat, your own friggin' balloon, like hot air balloon, your own like type of jet things and stuff. Oh my gosh, I could just see people, including myself, spending hours just go and just messing around inside the open world and see what type of crazy crap I can build. Like I thought of like two or three different things just watching I knew him play. It's like, oh, you know what? Why don't I just don't want that? Why don't I just don't want to build that boat? Why don't I just have that log and stuff and just put the jet propeller and see what happens? You know, just like that type of stuff, just decorated. Or yeah, it impressed me. Absolutely, it impressed me because of how simple the gameplay, not just how simple like some of the concepts were, but also how just fun they seemed in regards to just watching the demonstration. I felt like the 10 minutes was exactly the right amount in terms of showcasing what you needed to show with this game. I mean, yes, there are people that want to know more about the story, which they will sooner or later, if not if they've already went through and spoiled it for themselves with any type of leaks online, supposedly. But the game the game makes me more excited. I mean, I'm glad they waited for like a couple months or so, or like a month and a half before the game releases to show us a bit more gameplay. Because it answered certain questions that I had personally, like, what's the gimmick inside this one? You can't just do the same thing as, like, say, how Breath of the Wild did. I mean, granted, a sequel's purpose is to evolve concepts from the original game and make
Hmm.
them better. I mean, good examples of that, it's like you have original games say, oh, I don't know, you have Mega Man. Let's just get that. This is an old school reference here. You have Mega Man, great platformer, great game and stuff. But the sequel to a Mega Man 2 improved upon everything like in almost every single way because it's like you have better weapons, you have better game design in terms of the levels, you have better, more memorable boss battles, And on top of that, that one's considered one of the best ones of that entire series, is because Capcom at the freaking well, anyway, Capcom at the freaking time, did not understand. Well, actually, they did understand and stuff, but
Sorry, Gables.
yeah.
I don't know. I didn't
Oh,
mean
hey.
like. So people can't see this on our Skype call. There's like a react thing, and it kept popping up on my screen, and I was trying to get it to go away, and I accidentally clicked on it, and it just made a bunch of like faces pop up on Gables' screen and threw him off. I apologize for that.
Oh, oh yes. But like I was saying, it's like Capcom pretty much outdid themselves with a sequel to the original Mega Man, kind of much like what I'm seeing with like Tears of the Kingdom here over Breath of the Wild. I'm excited just for seeing 10 minutes of gameplay. So getting my hands on it and seeing the amount of scale and amount of things I can do inside that game, that leaves me wanting to play more or just get into it right away. So it was effective, it was awesome, and it was well put together. What'd you think,
Um,
Tyler?
so I was pretty positive with it. I think if you listen for a long time, like I am not like as high on Breath of the Wild as most. And I don't think I'm not saying it's a bad game or it's just it didn't hit for me in the same way like other games did. Um, that's why it was seventh on my top 10 list that year in 2017. And I don't do that. I'm not doing that in a troll way. I just like I said, it did not hit for me in the same way other people. Like for me, it's like with gaming, like and I understand like people like they love like Skyrim or like some of the Fallout games, stuff like that, where it's like yeah, there's like a story here, but really like just go out and explore and find your own fun kind of thing. Um,
Right.
I'm just a dumb consumer. Like I want you to just like show me the fun. And like obviously I don't love like the weapons or abilities. I'm like this none of this is like I'm not mad about any of this stuff. Like I'm not like bitching complaining about it. It just didn't hit for me on that same level. But I still understand why it's one of the greatest games of all time. I'm never gonna argue with anybody that it's not. Um, but I came away really impressed by what they showed here, because I felt like a lot of things they showed here was like some of the cool stuff about Breath of the Wild to me wasn't actually like I put like 50 hours in that game. Um, it's funny because like I talk about like yeah the game, I didn't love the game as much as others, but I still put 50 fucking hours into it. It's probably the most game I played game of that year for me. Um, and the best parts was like going on Twitter and just like seeing like cool fucking video or YouTube and seeing cool fucking videos of some like crazy shit people would do, like with the mechanics and just
Yeah.
like we see people like get a cart, fucking hit it a bunch of times with the stasis thing, and then just shoot themselves up to the sky, um, or like we've seen like or some of the shit people do with the durability stuff like that. So like everything we saw from this honestly was like instead of like making them like find some cool ways to do that with those systems. What if we just like do that system? We put that system in the game so they can just do that off, off the jump, and then they can find their shit to do with these new systems we have. So it's like, that's the system, like I said, like shooting yourself in the sky. That's just the thing you do in this game now. And then also there's skylands in the
Nice.
game where you can just go up in the island on the islands in the sky. Um, like the like a lot of people like some people did not love the durability of weapons, which I didn't either. But um,
Hmm.
I don't like I said, I'm not complaining about it. I just it wasn't for me. But like hey, here's a way to work around that. Oh, you got a tree branch with a break, fucking fuse it with a goddamn rock, and boom, you got a much stronger weapon, and it's probably gonna last a lot longer. Oh, you have this long stick, cool. Attach a fucking pitchfork to it and make it 12 feet fucking long. Okay, Gables. The first thing I want to do is I want to find every long stick and pitchfork in the game, and I'm gonna build the longest goddamn weapon in the history of mankind. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna I want it to stand straight up, and I want to go to the tippy top of the goddamn world. I want to lay it flat. I want to lay it down flat and then walk across the goddamn world. Um, like that's the cool shit I see out of this. Like or like the one where you can like jump. I can't remember what it's called, but where you can jump, and go through like the ceilings of things. Like
Oh yeah,
yeah, the
the
ascend.
ascend
Where like
ability.
I love
Yes.
that because it's like some of the times the most frustrating thing in the game is like you get to like the very like just the climbing aspect of it. Like I'm so close to the top. You run out of stamina, or here comes a fucking storm, and it's like I'm just gonna fall right fucking down. And that could be like I know for a lot of people they love that challenge. For me, it's like that Death Stranding effect where it's like I fucking hate this. I just want to get to the goddamn top of this
Yeah.
goddamn mountain. Um, and like I love the fact like hey like it's just they are like doing some cool systems, but also like fixing things. I think for me, for someone like me that didn't love some of those things, and just making it easier at the same time. So like, and I wonder like, are they gonna bring back some of the old stuff, or are they gonna like, is that stuff gone? We didn't see the with the Sheikah Slate, I think is what it's called in the first game.
Mhm.
So we don't know if those old powers are back. But yeah, like I was blown away. Like, um, I'm curious like what's going on. Like, I guess for me the biggest thing, and like I'm not saying I need to see it, but like I to me is what what are we doing in this game? Like what is like because we like so like when I was watching that I did the live react. Like my big thing I kept talking about was like the part where he jumps from the island and he like falls down to the water and like the
Uh-huh.
guy's like looking around. I'm like this is the money shot right here. This is the thing that like Game Explain and every goddamn gamer in the world is gonna freak out about and spend hours investigating, trying to find every little
Yep.
thing to explore and like big thing you can see shrines, no little dungeons, nothing like that. Like we did, there's a lot of things we just didn't see. It's like okay, so like what is the game? What is the goal of this game? What's the story? What's the thing that moves along? Like, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I think they're gonna keep this like the first game, obviously defeat Ganon. Well, that was the ultimate goal they gave you right away, and you can do that in minutes if you wanted to. Um, and like I
True.
think that's still gonna stick around, but I think for obviously for most people like that aren't that skilled at the game or at least right away the people that want to explore or do things like are there dungeons, are there shrines, is there something completely different, like what's happening in this game, like because the first thing we ever see from this game is Zelda and Link go down below and
Yep.
underground. It's like is that actually going to play a factor in the game or is it like the opening cutscene? um because like people like I could talk about like Elden Ring didn't hit for me either, but like one of the big things like the biggest moments of the game of the games last year for people was like you like finding out hours of the game that there's a whole there's like there's the main area of the game, but also there's a whole
Yeah.
system of caves underground that you discover 10
Oh
20
yeah.
hours of the game. There's a whole another map down here. Like, are we gonna have that moment, or is the skies that thing? Is there gonna be a sky and underground? Like, because like I'm not like super bummed about the fact there's not like this. Like, we're going back to like the Breath of the Wild map. Like, and you could see like right away like the first thing you see is you see like the fucking place where you first get your horse at in the first game, and it's like it looks
Mhm.
pretty identical. Like you look around like a lot of looks. I'm sure there's gonna be some minor differences here and there, but like for the most part it's the same map. And I can understand why people are a little disappointed in that. And I can understand like people that are not. Like, it seems like this game was like they just spent the last 5 6 years just working on the gameplay and the mechanics of this game. Obviously, like they're adding the sky stuff, and there's probably more shit we don't know about. But like instead of like focusing on building a new map, it's like, well, if we just build upon the map. And the big thing we do know about this was like years ago. I can't remember. It might have been Anuma. I can never say his name.
Yeah.
Anuma.
Aonuma.
Um, talk about this was originally supposed to be DLC that they were gonna make a whole another DLC thing on top of the season pass, and then they
Huh.
turned this into like a full game. So, which is new. Like we see this happen all the time with games, but
It's also not new inside Zelda either, is because Majora's Mask started out as a
for
DLC of Ocarina of
DD,
Time for the 64
yeah,
DD until Miyamoto challenged Aonuma to go and finish the Zelda game in about a year, and that's how Majora's Mask
yeah.
was made.
So, yeah. I mean, like I say, yeah, it's not like this happens all the time in gaming. So, I don't. I mean, I'm excited for this. I don't. I'm like I said, like for me, it's like what the mechanic stuff. I'm more excited now than I was before. Like, not to say I wasn't like, I wasn't. It's
Mm.
like definitely like was not like in my most hype games of the year, but like it was definitely it was on the list, but it wasn't like in the top five. And it's like now it's like it's just I'm like definitely. I think maybe part of that too is that we just haven't seen anything from this game. And the fact we have, it's like okay, now I'm really excited for this game. And just some of the mechanics. I
Yes.
think for something like it looks like it's gonna help. It leaves some of the pain points for me, and that's the thing I'm most excited about. Um, but Gables, let's move on to some less exciting news here. It's been a real up and down episode here. Um,
Yes.
Multiversus is shutting down. So I
Yep.
love the Mandela effect that Multiversus is doing by saying they were in open beta this whole time. Uh, like news to me.
Huh.
Um,
They didn't seem
no,
like
I
they
think they
were.
said early access, but like, uh, which games go early access all the time, but then they just eventually become 1.0. But now apparently this one's
Yes.
been open in beta since July. It's a 9-10 month open beta. So the game will be pulled from stores digitally on April 4th. But if you download it, you can still re-download it. Servers will go down in June, but you can still play offline. So like if you want to do training or you want to do like couch co-op, you can do that. Any purchase
Right.
you made in the game will not be refunded, but um, when the game comes back, you'll have everything back. And they are planning on the game coming back
Ah.
in early 2024. Um, so weird because like so like one there's like I remember in I think July when it launched, it was the number one best selling game on the NPD list. But
Yes,
even though
it
the game was
was.
free to play, because so many people bought the day one like bundle thing, like the $25,
Yes.
here's everything pass, whatever. I can't remember what it's called. Like that's how, and like on top of that, like they've released new characters since their DLC that you can buy. It has an in-game currency system, like a lot of these games do, which no shade towards them. Um, but I think the truth in the matter of this is we've seen there's been some reports and we've talked about it is like you look on obviously Steam isn't everything, but you look on Steam on average there's less than 1,000 people per day playing the game. I'm sure there's more people
Yep.
playing on the consoles than Steam, but that's still, I mean, that probably gives you an idea where it is. Um, and I mean that game, like I think over 20 million people played it in the first like month, uh, and it was really popular. We both played it. I enjoyed it for what it was, but like it was not like, oh my god, I keep playing this thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's the issue we were talking about forever with live service games, where it's just like we are at a point where we see this all the time, where it's just like it's hard to really to have those long legs, where you can last for you can have that instant like you can have those moments, but it's hard to keep the momentum of that. Where yeah, cool. Like Gables and I jumped in. I think I played it for a couple hours. I think Gables maybe played it for an hour or so and moved on. Excuse me, I didn't mean to burp in the microphone there. But moved on rather quickly, and I'm sure a lot of people did the same thing. Um, but I think the truth is in there when you start looking into more of like what's been going on with the game. So some of the big things that were going on was like they were doing, I believe it was every other week they were introducing new characters, and then it slowly but surely became like once a month, and then every 6 weeks, and then there were like seasons, and then I think season three was supposed to start at the end of, I think it was initially the end of March, and then it was supposed to be like early April. Um,
Yep.
so they delayed that, and then now the game's shutting down. So the seems like the big issue here is two things: one, player count; two, content,
Hmm.
which obviously the two most important things of a free to play live service game, or even just a live service game in general,
Yep.
like content and players. Like you need those are the two things. Those are the lifeblood of what you're making here. Um, and I've seen a lot of people like Dave Lang from fuck Iron Galaxy. Uh, he's talking about that. They're pretty big on ports. They did the Rumbleverse, and their game just got shut down. Just I
Hmm.
believe last month or 2 months ago. Uh, and I was
Yep.
listening to an interview he was doing with Jeff Gritzman, and he was talking about like they're talking about this because that was kind of fascinating. Him just going through that. And he said this is probably like the smartest thing that you can do. Um, like is just take it down and come back. Because instead of just like putting it out a little too early, or maybe you put it out and you think you're good, and then you're trying to like fix, like you start seeing things issues, and you're just trying to like patch shit together with fucking bubble gum and duct tape. And it's like, well, this thing's live. We can't take it. If we take it down, we're gonna lose revenue. We're gonna lose all this. We're done. Um, and maybe to just go silent for a while. Um, this is the best chance they have to come back and strong. And I think when they do come back, I think they will come back, and they will obviously be way stronger than what they were now. But will they be what they were, in July? Probably not. Uh, but I don't know. There's a lot of things to be upset about here. I understand, like, if you were someone that paid money for this game, I'm sure there's some fucking whales in this game that probably spent a large chunk of money,
Probably.
maybe not thousands or hundreds of dollars, but probably 50 for the price of a full price game, or maybe $100 on this content, and then it's like, cool. It's like, I just can't play this stuff anymore unless I do training mode for 6 months to a year, because they're saying they're planning on coming back early 2024. If it shuts down in
But does that mean they may
yeah,
materialize?
so if it shuts down in June, minimum 6 months to 9 months that it's gonna be down for, and like, that's if it doesn't get delayed. Like, so I understand completely as a consumer, like, if being upset about this, but
Hmm.
I think long term this might be the only thing they can do, because we've seen this over and over again. Like, once you get, people always want to point out, like, it's the thing I always talk about all the time. So people always want to point out the one in a millions, like Rainbow Six Siege, or No Man's Sky, or like Final
Hmm.
Fantasy 14, shit like that. Like, they want to point to those, like, hey, these guys did it. But I'm like, cool. Like, but the problem is we don't remember the other 1,000 that didn't do that, that couldn't do that, that were unable to do
Yep.
that. Um, it's like,
Like Anthem or
yeah,
Babylon's
like, yeah,
Fall.
because the
Or
problem is like, we don't think about them because they came out, and then a week later we didn't think about them again, and then we just totally forgot about them. And like, I didn't even think of Anthem or Babylon's Fall. Babylon's Fall got shut down 2 weeks ago, a month ago.
less than
Yeah,
a year.
it didn't even last a year. Um, that's the thing. It was like, it's always easy. It's like, to use a football term. Everybody freaks out about, like, these like short quarterbacks in football, because Drew Brees did it. It's like, cool. Drew Brees is like, is a Hall of Fame, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he's 5'11". And
Yep.
everybody's like, well, Drew Brees did it, so short quarterbacks work. It's like, well, no, just he did it. Like, that's it. No one else. Then, like, we've seen all these short quarterbacks get drafted high, and like, people will spend a bunch of money on these short quarterbacks, and they don't work out. But it's like, well, Drew Brees did it. And
Nope.
we just keep hearing that over and over again. Well, Drew Brees did it. Well, Drew Brees did it. And I'm losing my fucking mind about it, Gables. We're doing it again in this draft, and I can't do it anymore. It's like, it's the same thing. Is people always talk themselves into it. And it's like live service as a whole is like, we hear these, we see these, like, probably it's always the big wigs that are like, well, we want that. It's like, cool. That's like 1 in a million. Well, they did
Yeah.
it. That's not how shit works. And now we talk about over and over again about these live service games where it's like, every other week we talk about a big one going down. It feels like sometimes more than one a week go down. And I said, I think like a month ago or so, because like Knockout City and a bunch like went down in like a 1 week or 2 week span, and
Yeah, it was a lot of live service notices
in
or
like
shutting
February, I
downs,
think.
like announcements and stuff, and a couple of it was like over the span of a
Yeah,
few weeks, and we're all like, "What the heck is
yeah,
going
like
on
what
here?"
Knockout City, Marvel's Avengers, Rumbleverse, a couple others too.
Hmm.
And the problem is, what's going to suck is, we talk about these how long development cycles are nowadays, where I still feel like we're going to have 2-3 more years of a lot of these big ones coming out, because they're so far
Hmm.
in, they can't they can't stop it. The game is
No,
what it is. It's like Suicide Squad. They could delay a thing a year. The game is what it is. Um,
it is
you
what
know,
it is, and regardless of what they're going to go through to edit to try to improve some things, at its core is a live service game that gamers are not going to
yeah.
shake.
And like, if you can, if I'm not rooting for anybody here to fail. I don't care about multiverses, but I don't want to fail either. I'm not rooting for Suicide. Like I talk about over and over again. I want to pay $70 for Suicide Squad. I want to. I want to give you that money. You tell me, Rocksteady, like I said, Rocksteady making a Suicide Squad game, sign me the fuck up. And then we see the game. It's like, I don't want anything. I don't want to fucking touch that goddamn game. Um, I don't know. It just sucks. I hope the game comes out. I hope they hit their targets. I hope it comes back and it's widely successful. I know like I said, no
Right.
ill will towards them. I hope it works out. Hope for the fans of the game it works out. But Gables will have to wait and see. But
Absolutely.
let's move on here, Gables. Give me one second here. All right, Gables. Let's get into MPDs. They changed the name, and I'm not a fan of it, Gables. They're now
Okay. Well, they changed it too.
they merged with a company called Circana,
Uh huh.
Circana. I'm just gonna call them MPD still. Um,
Canopy
yep.
D's.
um, Canada MPDs. Um, no. So overall, video game sales in February, it's all February 20 for 2023. Um, Compared to February 2022, overall video game sales are up 6%. Um,
Okay.
this is in
That's year over year.
year over year. So this is in money wise. This isn't like individual sales. But some of the big stuff here. So video games like content. So that's like people buying games, DLC, subscriptions, stuff like that. Only up 1% year over
Oh,
year.
that's
Accessories
surprising.
up 13%. That's like, obviously like that's
Um,
controllers, stuff like that.
Controllers,
But yep, the
headphones.
big thing though, Gable, is hardware. That's consoles. Up
Okay.
68% year over year. Um,
Availability of PS5 and Xbox Series
yep.
consoles, and also the people that want to buy in multiple different Switches. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that's readily
Yeah.
apparent.
So I
Yes.
mean, the big thing is that we've finally seen like we've been seeing hardware sale go up and up and up, big major percentages the last few months. That is kind of like the sign. That's like the telltale sign that people could finally get those Xbox Series X's and PS5s,
Oh yeah.
especially for the holidays. And it seems like they're and we surprisingly, Gables, the PS5
Hmm.
has dropped back down to its regular price in a few countries. So
That's pretty awesome to hear
yeah,
that. I mean, hell, it's like I know for a fact it's like things have stabilized in regards to like availability for PS5, where I can go into like a local retailer like Walmart and I can still see consistently having like about maybe 2 to 4 or something, maybe like every couple weeks or something like that. Or hell, last time I went to Costco and stuff, they had a full display with about like freaking 10
wow,
PS5s or something like that on sale, inside their main thing. I'm like, this is the God of War bundle, and so the
cool.
Ragnarok bundle and stuff. And it's like we come from we come to this as opposed to being those consoles releasing in the pandemic stuff, super
People
hard
are
to
paying
come
2 grand.
by. 3 years later, like paying 2 grand for a PS5, which, you know what? If you have that much money to spend, I mean, for God's sake, spend it on some freaking like ways to help your mental health. I
Well,
mean,
you
for
know what,
God's
Gables,
sake.
I will say a
But
PS5 is considerably helped my mental health. So maybe it's worth it for them.
well, hey man, it's hard arguing with that. I use mine every day too, whether or not I'm playing games or watching YouTube or whatever the hell.
Yeah, but yeah, it's awesome to see. Like like you said, like I went to GameStop earlier this year. It was the first time I seen a PS5 in the wild. Um, and when I went and picked up Resident Evil 4 last week, there was a couple Xbox Series X's sitting in the back there. So yeah, I
Yep.
mean, definitely getting more. I'm not. I don't go to WalMarts. I don't go to GameStop super often. So uh, yeah, but yeah, that's cool to see. But Gables, let's get into the MPDs here. Big month
Okay.
for February. We got our top 20 list here. Gables, 7 brand new games in the top 20 list. Big month.
Wow.
Gables, you haven't seen the list yet, so I want you to I want you to guess. Try to name 7 of those games that came out in February that are on this list.
Oh my God. The games that released in
Well, it's hard because
February.
typically the MPDs are like earlier in the month. It's hard because
Huh?
it's literally it's the last day of March, and we're just not getting this MPD list. So
All right. I think one. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark here. Octopath Traveler
yep, number
2.
10,
Okay, let's see. Kirby Return to Dreamland, I think.
15.
15.
Good, doing good
Okay.
so far. A couple of these you won't hit because
Oh
they're
my
like
gosh.
they're okay. I'll give you one. It's number 16. Companies of Hero 3. You'll
Oh,
never. I don't think you'll ever would have guessed that one.
Company's a hero. Oh my
Gables
gosh, though. I mean, this is gonna.
one sneaking in number 20 spot. It is a game that you loved in the 3DS. It's the sequel. It's a big game that came to Switch. It's not a it's not a it's not a
Oh
it's not a
yeah.
Switch Nintendo game, but big game.
Oh, it was on the 3DS and stuff that I enjoyed a lot. Oh yeah, Theater Rhythm, Final Fantasy
Yep,
Bar Line.
number
That
20.
one that released last
Mm-hmm.
month as well. God, just naming off the games that I still need to fucking try to find in regards to the Switch. Ha! Because, fun fact, those 3 games that released last month for Nintendo Switch, all 3 of them have like 80 plus review scores, like collaborated stuff on OpenCritic and
Mm-hmm.
Metacritic alike. But, okay, I've named 3 out of the top, 3 out of the
Yeah.
7,
Well, we got
quintessentially.
4 because
Well,
the company's hero.
technically 4.
So 3 more.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy.
You want me to give you a hint who
Let's
developed some of
see.
these?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
EA developed one of them.
Okay, so it's not Dead
Nope.
Space because Dead Space was
Yep, that is number
January.
3 on the list though.
Okay, that is
Yep.
number 3 on the list. I mean, goddamn. I
Yep.
mean, I'm
Yeah, it's
glad it
fucking
did
awesome.
that, but um, okay, so EA did this one and
I
released
played this
it.
game. It's not a sports game.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's kind of a little bit hard to. I know it's kind of a little bit hard to remember because when I think of EA, I think of sports games. Um,
You want me to tell you
oh
who
shit,
developed this game? Koei
yeah.
Tecmo.
Oh,
No, no,
Wulong,
no, no,
that's
no. Wild
right.
Hearts.
Wild Hearts.
Yeah.
God
Well,
damn it.
yeah. All right. 2 left, Gables. You're gonna
the
kick yourself with one of these.
the Probably it's probably on
Nope,
Nintendo as
not
well.
Nintendo. Neither one on Nintendo.
Oh,
One is made by Sega
oh
though.
wow.
It's a remake that never came to the
Oh
United
my
States
god.
before last month. I believe it's
Ah,
on
ha, ha, ha.
your fans critic team too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, probably. Trying to think about it now. So Sega made it. It was released last month, and it's on my
It's a
Fantasy Critic
remake.
stuff.
It's a
Jesus.
remake of a game that never came to the United States before.
Oh my god, Tyler. I'm drawing a blank
Like a
with this
Dragon
shit.
Ishin.
Oh, there.
All right.
Yeah, that's right. It was a PS3 game in Japan, but it was remade. Yeah, Like a Dragon Ishin. I should have
And then
remembered
number
that one.
one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Number one on the list. One of the best selling games of the year so far.
Okay, so this is number one of the best selling games. So we had Wild Hearts. I mean, Wulong Fallen Dynasty was another one I think I just named,
Wulong is not
but
on the list. Wulong came out March 3rd.
Wulong's on the list. Okay, March
Wild
3rd.
Hearts was
Okay, so
number
that was
8.
early March release.
All right.
Wild Hearts number 8.
All right. I'm going to start from 20
Oh,
Gables, and if you think of it, let me know. All right.
okay,
Number 20,
okay.
Theater Rhythm
Hmm.
Final Bar Line. Number 19,
Yep.
NBA 2K23. Mind you, Take-Two,
Okay,
Nintendo do not give out digital sales. Um, Number
okay,
18, all the way up to 41, Last of Us Part 2. Number 17,
okay.
Holding Strong, Sonic Frontiers. Number 16, Company Heroes
Hmm.
3. Number 15, Kirby's Dream Land, Return to Dreamland. Number 14, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Number 13, Mario Kart 8. Number 12, as always, Minecraft. Number 11, God of War
Hmm.
Ragnarok. Number 10,
Yep.
Octopath Traveler 2. Number 9, Like a Dragon Ishin. Number 8, Wild Hearts. Number 7, Elden Ring. Number 6, Last of Us Part 1. Last month it was number 11,
Hmm.
so back it's in the top 10 now. Um, Number 5, FIFA 23. Number 4, Madden NFL 23. Number 3, Dead Space 3 EA games in a row, the top 5. Number 2,
Hmm.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And number 1, the last brand new game, Gables. You're going to kick yourself when I say it. Any last guess?
Hmm. Is it on my
No, it is
Fantasy
not.
Critic thing? Oh, it's probably on
Nope.
yours, right? Okay, just say it,
Hogwarts
Tyler.
Legacy.
Yeah, of course I didn't
Yeah.
remember that
So
one.
one of the best selling games of the year so far.
I should
So
have.
no big surprise there. It's a big IP. So think like
Yes, absolutely.
Lego, the other WB game last year, Lego Star Wars,
Yep,
was
Lego
the
Star
third best
Wars.
selling game of the year last year. Was it third? Yeah, third behind Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Elden Ring. So no shock there. I think most people thought that was gonna be. That's probably gonna be one of the best selling games of the year. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. I think this is a pretty exciting list here, Cables. I mean, it's
Yes.
fucking February. 7 brand new games on the list, and I mean, what? Dead Space. If you had Dead Space in there, that is 8 games that came out in 2020 are in the already or 2023 rather. Jeez, what year is it? Um, and then in the top 20 list. So pretty fucking awesome.
When nearly half the list is consistent of new
In
games
the first two
releasing
months.
this year, it's definitely a great month.
Yeah, a couple surprising things though, like Atomic Heart was not there. Um, but I
Okay.
wonder if that was one of those things where maybe it was a bigger deal because Game Pass, but chicken and egg thing here, was it bigger because of Game Pass, or was it was it actually big and the fact it was a bigger game and then it was on Game Pass made it bigger? I don't know. Um, and then also Forspoken out of the top 20. So which I think the last month it was like 12th or something. So it
Yeah.
did not seem like it did really well. Oh no, it's actually Forspoken was last month was 7th. So um, so far this year it's actually the 10th highest selling game Forspoken is for copies
Huh.
sold. Um, so yeah. I don't know. I mean, pretty cool. I mean, Wild Hearts being in there is pretty awesome. I like that game a lot. The only reason I played like the first section of the part that's available for EA Play members. I think I put like 3 or 4 hours into it. The only reason I didn't buy it was because it was like, it's like a 60, 70 hour game. I'm like, I'm good. I'll pass. There's just way too
Huh.
many big games coming out right now for me to um, sink a bunch of time into that game.
There really is a lot of long ass games that are releasing in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, we got like, playing Resident Evil 4 right now, and like 2 weeks away from Horizon, Advance Wars, and fucking Star Wars, Redfall,
Hmm.
and Zelda all releasing in like a 3 week span. So, uh,
Yep.
that's just the shit I care about. That doesn't even count like there's like a Dead Island in there. There's a couple other games in there as well. So, I don't know if there's anything you want to say about that list otherwise though.
Honestly, it's really awesome to see a lot of games that were released this year and make it into the top 20 of the February NPD list and stuff. Hogwarts Legacy, that's crazy good how they managed to turn like negative situation to a positive in that regards, and also in terms of making a lot of profit in regards to like gamers really interested in wanting to play this game and stuff. I mean, I'm happy for the
Yeah,
developers after facing so much adversity and stuff, managed to go forth and have this game not only succeed, but most potentially is going to be very lucrative for the end of the year. Obviously, I'm also incredibly happy to see like games being showcased, say like Wild Hearts, like say Octopath Traveler 2, and like Kirby, and like Theater of the Barline game. I'm very surprised that made it to the
yeah.
top 20
What's the price of
because
that game?
usually rhythm games, that game is like about a 50 maybe 50 $60 game and stuff, but you have like a bunch of DLC. You can download different tracks of like from specific games that you can do. I played the demo of that for both the PS5 and also for the Switch. It's really addictive and it's pretty fun. But yeah, other than that though, I mean those are the biggest positives from that. Plus, it was probably some of the biggest surprises just seeing how well a lot of them did. Like the consistency of good games releasing in the month
Yes.
of February is really astonishing.
It's yeah, you're right, $50. Okay. Yeah, I mean, pretty cool. Then something like I was talking about, like I like looking at these like I feel like the poor part of these like MPDs is like I like seeing them because like it kind of takes us out of that bubble of like sometimes
Hmm.
like we are like in the hardcore gaming bubble like you hear all the time like oh like if we just looked at our bubble like Madden, FIFA, NBA 2K23, Call of Duty, dead franchises, but like obviously they're not. There are just a lot of people out there that just buy the games and don't know what's going on. And like I feel like Hogwarts
Yep.
Legacy, like that, like you talk about that, all the bullshit going on online about that. Um, yeah, I think that's very much one of those things that's very online, and I'm sure most people that bought that game have no idea about all the shit going on online. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, that's why I always like look at this because it kind of gives me an idea of like what's going on in the actual world of video games. Like we hear stuff people talk about like oh, like the PS5 is more readily available, the Xbox Series X is more readily available. Well, now we know for a fact it's the hardware sales are up 68% year over year. So it's like
Yes.
that's kind of shit I love seeing about these NPDs or the Circana, whatever. I don't like it. I don't like change.
The
I'm too old
Canopy
for change, Gables. But Gables, something I'm not too old for. Let's get into other news this week. Gables, we talked about last week jokingly, and I'm going to take full credit for this. You and I will take full credit for this. Skies of Arcadia Remaster, Gables. It's rumored to be happening. Xbox Era, who popular podcasts out there, they are known for some pretty big leaks over the years, mostly on the Xbox side, obviously, but they've got a really good track record. A couple of the guys one of the guys on there, I think Nick was his name. I don't know too much about them. I just know a lot of leaks come from them. Mentioned that there's a remaster of Skies of Arcadia in the works. He even mentioned that he's seen some screenshots of it. But Gables, it's a remaster of there's the 2000 version that came to Dreamcast, and then there was the port in 2003 that came to GameCube, Skies of Arcadia Legends, which is kind of like the director's cut of the game. I want it so fucking bad, Gables. I want to know what's going on with Vice, Aka, drama. I want to see some Gigas. That sounds wow. That sounds, whew. That's a hard word to say without being problematic.
But yes, I understand the excitement.
Oh my god!
For
going back, I have the music in the game is fantastic. The world of Arcadia, the Six Moons. Oh my god! I cannot. I hope this is so real. I will buy everything I have to do to make this game financially successful. I will buy 1 million copies. I will take out several loans if I have to buy up every copy so that maybe we can get Skies of Arcadia 2. Still mad that they were working on that and they canceled it, the sequel. I honestly hope that they do the Skies of Arcadia Legends remaster though, not the Dreamcast version.
Right.
Because obviously the GameCube version had more content in it.
Yes.
And then also it ran better. And then also they like cut way down on the random battles because I heard the Dreamcast one was terrible for random battles. So I like the fact that I hope they do that. Obviously because the GameCube was way more powerful than the Dreamcast. But man, I'm just like I just have like all these moments of that game flashing before my eyes right now because I played that game. I replayed the game so many fucking times. And there's maybe like as far as like a remaster from like that era, like there's not a lot that I want at this point. It's like there's this and like NFL Street Volume 2. Like that's the list. Just make those two things happen. Gables, what about you?
Well, like I was stating previously, in regards to GameCube remakes, I had mentioned that Skies of Arcadia Legends was one of the ones that I wanted to see happen. And that had the possibility of actually happening. So hearing more credence of the rumblings of rumors of that potential remaster being in progress, I mean, that's pretty shocking, and also it's pretty hilarious too. That randomly in the random work day, I get a text from you saying, "Hey, did we happen to get this into
Did we manifest this?
hope this into existence?" Yeah, exactly. And what's kind of hilarious about it, it's like not only that these rumors are starting to pop up, but yeah, it's making me think of good potential ways of like how Skies of Arcadia Legends can be remastered from the ground up, new graphics, new conveniences, maybe an extension in regards to the whole story
Well, it just
aspect
sounds like this will
itself.
just be like an HT remaster, not like a full blown thingamajiggy. This is not gonna be like this will be like more like a Metroid Prime rather than like a Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, well, that's fine by me.
I'll take anything.
I mean,
let me play it on modern hardware.
But yeah, I'm really happy to see if this is going to potentially be revealed, hopefully soon.
Summer Game Fest. Jeff Keighley, don't let me down. What do I need to do, Jeff Keighley? I will fillet you on live stream right now if I have to. Come here. I'll get on my knees. I don't care. Whatever I gotta do. Just please, God, give me this goddamn game. What's the price I gotta pay? I'll take it all.
Zip.
Yeah, take the whole thing, and then I'll pay for it.
Oh
I'll pay for the
god.
copy myself. I don't care. What if he's watching right now? If I just said that to him.
He's probably well. This dude is like really sick in the mind.
Just get a
Yeah.
DM from Jeff Keighley. What's your address?
It's like you just hear a jet flying overhead. It's like, did he catch a ride
Yeah,
with Bill
God damn, he
Trenton?
took the. Yeah. It's like Bill Trenton's like, as Jeff Keighley's lawyer, what you said is legally binding, and yeah, so we will perform that right now. I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're right. Let me go get my knee pads. Um, I can't believe Gables does this podcast with me still. I'm surprised he hasn't quit. You muted, Gables.
Well, like I said, I just drift
Yeah,
in and
that's
out.
true. Yeah, Gables knows better. He knows that. He just stops listening to me after about 20 seconds because he knows I stop listening to myself after 20 seconds. So he's a smart man. He knows me better than myself. Well, Gables, let's move on before I say any more. Before I legally buy myself any more fellatio. Uh, what is this podcast? It's 1 a.m. Leave me alone. Um, let's go with what we've been playing. Gables, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Let's have you go first
Okay.
with this one.
So I've just been playing more Resident Evil 4 remake. I am on well into chapter 14. Did I?
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh no, I saved. I was like, I just looked over my. I thought I put my PS5 in rest mode, but it's off. I'm like, shit, did I save? I did save. So I'm pretty close. I'm on the island now. To finishing the game. I think there's 16 chapters, and yeah, like I said, I'm really close to the end. I'm still blown away. I've talked about it over and over again. This is one of my favorite games of all time. This is in my childhood. This is the third most important game of my lifetime. Just because behind Pokemon Yellow and Metal Gear Solid 1. I've just turned me into the gamer I am today. Um, yeah, like I'm continually blown away by like I talk about over. I'm not like you gotta fucking. I'm not like super like don't change anything or don't fuck with the story. I'm not like that guy. Like I like I said, I'm fully on board. Like modern day gameplay with some changes. I love what they've added to the game as far as like adding content to the game, but also like changing up the story a little bit. Like where Ashley isn't just this weird girl with like jiggly boobs. That's just like the damsel in distress. And like they did a good job with like back in those days, like in that era where like every fucking game just had like escort missions, and like this whole game was like an escort mission.
Yeah.
And she could be extremely annoying at points because she was completely worthless because she can't fight, she can't do anything like that. And they did a good job where like she still can't fight, but they've done a good job of like I think that's probably the biggest hurdle for them is like balancing that of like still gotta protect her, but also like when you get like in a fight or like and they're going for her, it's like it's not like extremely annoying. Where like I said, you can actually like make commands with her where, hey, like just be right behind me, or hey, like back off, like get away from me. I can see your copy in the background there, Gables. But
Yep. It's
yep.
right on my shelf.
Yeah, I like that, or you can like hide her in lockers, stuff like that. Um, but those are the big changes for me. Like, and she's actually like got a little bit of personality and like kind of like a little more backstory, stuff like that. I like what they like with the stuff that they did with Louise. Like he's like I'm enjoying like how much more they added to his character, and like he's not really in the game that much in the original. Adding a little more stuff with
No.
Ada. And there's also been like some leaks about possibly some DLC with Ada for her in Resident Evil 4, which I'm hoping it's like
Hmm.
kind of like if that is true, like it's just a DLC where like you're playing as her, but like it's like what she's doing in between the stuff with while Leon's doing his thing.
Oh,
Um,
they've done something similar like
yeah,
that before in
they did
Resident
that
Evil
with
games.
Resident Evil 6, I believe, and I think they did that in Resident Evil 2. I want to say 2 as well. Um, but yeah, like I think the gameplay is great. I love the merchant being back is fantastic. Different voice actor, doesn't hit the same, but still really good. Um, I like just overall the changes they made. Like in this game, you get like gunpowder where you can make bullets, stuff like that. But like they do a good job of like balancing. Like the hardest parts of these survival horror games is like balancing. Like you like having like resources like health and ammo and
Hmm.
combat, and like they do a great job of like I'll have moments where I'm like I have a ton of everything, and then there's just like you get through this marathon, it's like I have like 9 bullets left. And like then they do a great job of like the ups and downs of like exactly what I want. Of like not only is like the combat like, but it's like every time I miss a shot, like I'm just like fuck, like when because like I'm like I am like I love doing the shoot the kneecaps, take them down, do a melee, doing the German suplex, or doing a spinning heel kick. Um, or like the way that the knife is coming more handy, where like you can knock them down, then do like an instant kill with the knife if they're on the ground. But your knife has durability and it's like repair it, or you can pick up other knives that work once or twice throughout the game. Um, I'm loving like the side like the merchant gives like has like his own like side missions he gives you, and they're not like huge like kill
Right.
4 rats in this area or shoot on a medallion, stuff like that. Like I'm doing all of that shit. I'm finding all of the collectibles in the game as far as like the jewels, stuff like that to like sell or to like to combine with other things to make them more valuable. I found all of them in the first 2 areas. I found most of them in the third area. But there's one Gables I'm worried about that I missed that I don't
Hmm.
know if I can go back to, and I'm not happy about it. I'm gonna be really pissed off
Hmm.
if I do all of this and I missed one. Um, but yeah, I'm having a really good time with it. Like they do a great job of this. Like there's a whole like boss part that not boss, but like a whole like a new enemy that pops up in the island that I completely fucking forgot about exists. Um, and you gotta use the thermal scope to kill him. I'll just say that for Resident Evil 4 fans.
Huh.
I completely forgot this fucker exists. And it is terrifying. Every time he shows up, I'm like, God fucking damn it. Um, I'm just having a great time. Like it's everything I wanted and more. And I'll probably have it beaten tomorrow. But yeah, oh my god, I'm like 15 hours in right now. Um, so I
Okay.
mean, this game is a lot longer than the original one. But also I've talked about I think I talked about last week. I am in these survival horror games. I am very slow in these games. I search every nook and cranny that I can find, and I'll double back to make sure I didn't miss anything, whether it's a barrel or a side room or anything, because I want to find everything in these games. So yeah, that's all I've been playing. Just kind of like my thing, and then like I said, I'll probably beat it. I'll talk about more next week when I finally beat the game. But yeah, that's it for me. Gables, what about you?
So I've also played a little bit more of like I played some
Fuck yeah.
more of Resident Evil 4 Remake. I mean, last time I was playing the demo and trying to go through the rigmarole stuff of like just getting a good experience. Going through it again this time with the full-on retail version of the game, I just wanted to take my time going through that village, trying to see what other type of shit that I can go through and do. What's hilarious and stuff is there's a way you could actually gain access to that well inside that main village, like when you first start off in the game. And in order to do that, you have to basically go into that portion without like any weapons, including your main pistol and this and that. And what's hilarious is like I managed to do it maybe once, but every time I've tried to do it, I end up dying because all the villagers would swarm me. So I'd have nothing but like my combat knife, right? I go inside the village and I'm sweeping to the right, and there's this well. You can go down it, and there's this chest, and you open this chest, and oh, there's the TMP. So I get the TMP and stuff, and I try to go over, and like, this thing is so overpowered, though. I mean, for God's sake, you have automatic weapon, like,
Mm-hmm.
first thing and stuff. You're just mowing down villagers and stuff. Would have made it I would have made it out of that situation with the TMP if not for the fact that I tried doubling back up the ladder with villagers literally trying to climb down and try to catch me and all this other crap and stuff. But game looks fantastic, absolutely fantastic. That full-on experience and stuff with the opening village, that was fine. I got a little bit further. Obviously, I basically completed all of chapter one. Did go forth and enjoy what I have played. I just got to the part where I just encountered Luis and stuff, and like that tall dude with a freaking hat or
Yep.
something like just attacks Leon and all this other shit. But yeah, it's basically this is the part of the game and stuff where you go before like facing a boss battle when essentially that's what I remember of like the Resident Evil 4 because there's this one boss in the original Resident Evil 4 called Del Lago, that giant freaking fish
Oh,
inside the
Gables.
damn.
No, you're a ways away now.
I'm
You're
a
a
ways
ways away.
away. Huh.
Oh yeah.
Oh really? So something completely
hmm
different.
Unless you like, well,
Oh.
unless you just run straight to him, then you can get there fairly, not too long. But if you're explorer, you're a little ways away.
Oh. Well, that's good to know. They added some more. They may add some more diversions on my way to there and stuff. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of interesting going through and exploring a little bit more of that because I did explore the main village thoroughly. Got all of the medallions and stuff. Oh my gosh. But yeah, definitely want to play more of that. Before the eShop closed down this past Monday, I finished the rest of my initial shopping and also in terms of games that I wanted to try to get before the whole service closed down. One of them being getting a copy of Fire Emblem. Yeah, getting a copy of Fire Emblem Shadows of Valencia. Brand new copy, mind you. Spent a little bit over $50. That's fine. It's that's fine.
Not
Brand
bad
new game.
comparatively.
No, no. Compared to other 3DS games that are like, say, Dragon Quest 8, for example, that game's like over $150
And what the game's gonna
used.
cost in about 3 weeks probably.
Well, that's the thing, though. We're seeing the rise now of 3DS games going and spiking up. I mean, some were already expensive before, but some are now starting to go up little by little. But anyway, I started playing a little bit of that because I thought that by playing through a certain portion and stuff, that would make me gain access to, in order to unlock aspects of buying the DLC. But unfortunately, the game came like a day after the initial shutdown of the eShop, so I could not download that DLC for that game. However, for Fire Emblem Birthright, I did go forth and recheck the DLC for that, and I did buy the initial last major DLC thing for that. So I split off the 3DS purchases in like two chunks. Got a couple games, a couple of the Phoenix Wright games, a lot of their DLC. Then for the second chunk, it's like got Fire Emblem Revelations, got Fire Emblem like Shadows of Valencia, just basically the obscure games, the Fire Emblem stuff I targeted that I wanted to get. Very happy I did so. Obviously, I don't have to worry about that. I mean, granted, I didn't touch anything in regards to Wii U stuff because I'm perfectly fine with like not buying anything
How many
else on my
copies
Wii
of
U.
letter do you really need though?
Ha, true. But other than that, though, I'm just playing little bits of games here and there while I'm just resting in bed. I actually downloaded that guest pass for Clubhouse games. I was just playing a couple of those board games, like four available. But yeah, other than that, though, that's pretty much what I had been playing for the
All right.
past week.
Well, very cool. Gables, did you see the video of the people doing the village part in Resident Evil 4 where you can actually shoot the bell? All right,
No,
so
no, I didn't
so
know
you
that.
all right, so in Resident Evil 4 when you get to the village, um, you have to basically like the enemies don't stop coming for like I think it's like 4 minutes. He's got to survive. Uh, Smart thing to
Yeah,
do is really just run away instead of wasting ammo and stuff and resources on them. Um, until eventually the bell will ring and it'll cut to a cutscene and they all walk
yeah.
away. Well, you can actually like run upstairs and stuff and go out like on top of the roof and like
hmm
you can barely see it, but you can shoot the bell. Um, and everybody once if you shoot the bell, it'll go off and everybody will leave. Yeah,
What? I
so
didn't
you
know
can buy.
that. That's
I guess so.
crazy.
Basically, they said that like it's easier to do if you have the rifle, if you have the scope, new game plus.
Oh,
But you can still do it with the
okay.
pistol. It's just a lot harder to do. So
That is mind blowing. I wonder if that's in the original game.
that's a good question. I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's just like in this game. But
Oh my god, that is so much easier than having to deal with 5 minutes to try to run around and stuff and wasting
yeah,
ammo on
that's yeah. Like
villagers.
when I played it, I just ran in circles and tried to avoid everybody, uh, and just try to
Yeah,
make sure I just didn't want to waste resources. But yeah, like yeah, I thought that was a really cool thing when that video popped up over the weekend. So but yeah, Gables, I think we're gonna wrap it up for the week. If you liked all that,
Okay.
please like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell so you know when we go live or post a new episode. Or like sometimes we just do live reactions. Like I did for Zelda. But yeah, like I said, if you like all that, please like, follow, subscribe, 5-star reviews, shares, all that. Description down below for links to everything, Facebook, Twitter, all that. So please do all that. Really would appreciate it. But I was your host, I was Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, play freaking Resident Evil 4 Remake. That game is fantastic. But more or less, thank you very much for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds
Thank you,
Podcast.
Gables. Too sweet.
Yep. Too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.